The Chicago Bulls have officially entered historic territory for the franchise. 11 straight losses, the worst month in franchise history, and they're dropping further and further to the bottom of the league. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The Chicago Bulls, what they're doing right now may have been necessary. They may have needed to get through this to really improve the team. The question really becomes about, can AK actually do it? And that's the part that gets actually scary. But today we're going to break down how the Chicago Bulls have painted themselves into a corner and why this ugly stretch of basketball that the Chicago Bulls are in the middle of right now may be actually what's needed to get them to the place they really need to take a step forward. We'll talk about all that, plus dive into the mailbag right after this. What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. Yeah, man, the Chicago Bulls are struggling right now. We all know that 11 straight losses. The losing streak goes back to February 5th. There was 2 games, before 2 games before that, that this losing streak really started, and this has just been an ugly month for the Chicago Bulls, right? You look at the trade deadline that we sent out: Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, Nikola Vucevic, Kevin Huerter, Dalen Terry, Julian Phillips, Javon Carter. All those guys were gone from the team, right? Javon Carter was a buyout more than being traded. Well, I don't think he signed with another team yet, by the way. Then we brought in Jaden Ivey, Rob Dillingham, Anthony Simons, Colin Sexton, Gershon Yabusele, Nick Richards, who all came to the Chicago Bulls team, right? And now you have this place right now that the team sits at a place right now that we look different and we don't look good. And that is by design, right? And so when you look at the thing with the Chicago Bulls and where we are right now with how this roster has been playing, the Bulls have been, it's bad. In every stretch of the imagination, every single metric that you can point to, the Chicago Bulls have become a way worse team over this stretch of basketball. There's just no other way around that to look at it. Now, with that also that you look at that and say, is that this is a necessary byproduct. For the Bulls fans that wanted to see tanking for so long, that wanted to see the Chicago Bulls this is a necessary disaster. That's where we're in right now. Now, of course, you have your Bulls fans that think, hey, we were maybe a piece away from really being a playoff team. And listen, I'm not saying that you guys are maybe wrong from that, right? But I think the thing is, and I was there right with you guys. But the thing is that the Bulls looked at this situation and they looked at it and said, the front office looked at it and said, listen, yeah, maybe if everybody was healthy, we'd be a lot better. It's what's the runway? What's the leeway to get that done? Since you had a natural pivot spot, right? That's what I've been talking about since before this season started. The Chicago Bulls had a natural place where they could pivot with this offseason. So many players becoming unrestricted free agents, draft picks, trade exceptions, all that type of stuff. They were at a natural pivot point, and they decided to make their pivot. They pivoted into taking advantage of the spot that they're in. Since February 5th, the Chicago Bulls are 29th in offensive rating, 27th in defensive rating, 30th in net rating, the worst team in basketball, 27th in points per game, 30th in turnovers per game at 19 turnovers per game, 28th in rebounding, and 27th in field goal shooting percentage. The Chicago Bulls are the worst team in the league right now. But here's the thing. It may have been necessary. It may have been necessary to bottom this out. Now, we won't know for sure until we see what happens this offseason and see if AK can actually get his head out of his ass and do the proper moves that are needed to get us to the place that we're going to get to, that we need to get to, right? That's what this all comes down to. And if he can do that, then, okay, it was all worth it. That's what I said. And, you better make the losses worth it. That is really what this is all about, is making this time worth it. And the Bulls sit in a place right now that, hey, because they're playing so bad, they're going to go up in the odds as far as the lottery odds. We're going to see a natural rise in that. That's going to happen. There's just no other way around that. They're going to see a rise in that. Like I said, the highest they can probably get is 7th, and that's if they basically lose the entirety of the way through. I don't know if that's going to actually happen, but that's what they would need to happen with if that were to be the case right now. But even with that said, they've increased their chances now to get to 20% to get in the top 4. 20% to get in the top 4. Now, Again, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to happen, but that's what they've done right now. They are only a 1 game back I should say 1 game ahead of the Memphis Grizzlies, but to get to the 8th worst record in the league. And with the way that the Chicago Bulls are playing and the fact that the Memphis Grizzlies have won more than the Chicago Bulls, that's possible. And, the Dallas Mavericks as well. We are 2.5 games back of the Dallas Mavericks from jumping them and getting to the 7th seed in the lottery odds. So, the Bulls are making their move. And this is the draft that's worth it, right? This is the draft that's worth it. And I know people are like, well, we should have tanked when we actually got a voicemail. Why didn't we take from the start of the season? Well, they wanted to evaluate. And as we've seen before, you don't have to have the worst record in the league to get the best pick. You don't have to have the worst record in the league to get in the top 4, right? So we've seen those teams push down before. Of course, you can guarantee yourself a certain spot if you were to completely bottom out. But now this team sits in the place now where this is the focus the rest of the way. Now, what they can do there and pair that with whatever they want to try to do in free agency. We've talked about the restricted free agents, all that type of stuff. There's options there. And the Bulls, by the way, because they did lose to the Portland Trailblazers, and the Portland Trailblazers, the Golden State Warriors also lost. Trailblazers now find themselves only 1.5 games back of the 8th seed in the Western Conference. So there you go on that one. So like those things, the things that the Bulls are hoping for, it's slowly but surely starting to maybe come together. And all it is a chance. Is anything guaranteed? Hell no, it's not guaranteed at all. It's just not, right? But the Bulls are doing what they can to try to maximize their opportunity. And I'll say this, right? Same thing I said when there was the Jimmy Butler thing. When the Bulls at that point with Jimmy Butler, which was still stupid, I want to say, but they said, we don't know how to build around Jimmy Butler. We do not know how to build this team around Jimmy Butler. They decided to trade Jimmy Butler. If you looked at this team and like, we aren't quite sure, finally, like we've seen enough. Injuries aside, we're not going to wait on everybody to be healthy. We've seen enough. We're going to go ahead and pull the trigger. Let's go ahead and reset the deck as much as we can. You needed to do that because if you weren't sure that you can build what you need to build with that team, you needed to make a move. Now we can talk about the time it took and all of that. We know AK's slow to give up on his guys. He wants to see his guys be really good, those type of things. But at the same time, man, you just got to look at it and take your shot. You got to take your chance because everything's a chance. There's no guarantees. Tanking isn't guaranteed. Despite what some people would have you say that it's the most, it's not. So could it come back and blow up in the Bulls' faces? Absolutely it could. It could realistically all this blow up in the Bulls' faces where they look back and say, damn, maybe we should have kept Io. Damn, maybe we should have kept this player, whatever it is. But as things stand right now, right, the Bulls with an 11-game skid right now, and every loss has them climbing up, down, whatever you want to look at it, into that. The Bulls could legitimately flip spots with the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, I know it would be crazy if the Bulls do flip spots with the Memphis Grizzlies and then the Grizzlies get the number 1 overall pick. I know what Bulls fans are going to do to that, even though that's not how technically the draft lottery works. It's not a one pull on it. But the Bulls are not riding the same wave that they have before. This is no longer a team that's looking after 4th straight play-in tournament exits, early exits in the play-in tournament. This is not a team that's looking at that anymore and saying that is being competitive. And I think in that we have to at least acknowledge that finally they have realized that the path that they were on was not fucking working. Now let's see what we can do with it. This is a necessary evil. And that's just the reality of where we are. It sucks because, having to root for your team to lose sucks, right? And the thing that your team is the best way that they have to improve is by losing. All that sucks. It sucks. It's traumatic. I don't like doing it. But this is where we are. And the Bulls have now made their decision that this is the path that they're going to be on. Now they get an opportunity to show that they can actually exceed in this path because you haven't been able to exceed in the other one. So while Kobe White's gone, it sucks. I love Kobe White as a player. Io's gone. It sucks. Io was the one that I'm like, why trade Io? I thought it was going to be one or the other. Why move on from Io to Sumu? The fact of the matter is you've now cleared the deck and you've now given yourself basically a blank slate to really restart and show what you can do. And like I've said before, at minimum, if nothing else, if this doesn't work, this should be the beginning of the end of Arturas Karnisovas and his time running the Chicago Bulls. Now, it's not going to be immediate. It's not going to be immediate. I think it's going to be 2 or 3 more years. But it could be the beginning of the path of us either correcting it and getting on the right course and actually turning this team into something that's going to be meaningful, or it could be the beginning of getting this motherfucker up out of here. Maybe both. Maybe it's both of them, right? So, we'll see what's going to happen with that one. But the things that we're looking for the rest of the way, of course, is how much more can the Bulls' lottery odds improve? And then on top of that, the Portland. Everybody should be rooting for Portland at this point in time. The question then becomes about, have the Bulls really finally done what's needed to get themselves out of the middle long term? I think we could be right back in the middle next season. But then you got to look at that and say, all right, even if we do get back to the middle next season, I know there are going to be some Bulls fans that say, oh, my God, playing again. But if you have a top 10 pick in this draft that's a rookie and that you've gotten into the play-in at that point, if you have a modest Buzelis that looks like he's made another step in year 3, hopefully Noah Essengay in year 2 shows us something. If you have that, if those, added with Josh Giddey, if those 4 players are part of the reason why we get into the play-in next season, if that is the case, that is does show a bigger chance to get out of the middle long term. And we just got to, again, it's a lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda, or possibilities, and a lot of hope in that. But that's really all you got right now. And every team needs as much smarts as luck when they really want to get to a place of really finding a path for a team. Let's hope that the Bulls maybe have found theirs. Again, I say maybe because, again, AK is still running this. If it was Paxson, I feel a little bit more safe. And if it's Jerry Krause, I would love it. But we got AK. We'll see what AK can do. That's all I can say on that one. With that said, let's get into these voicemails, man. We got 4 that we're going to get into today. This one's from Jeff.
Hey, Hayes, this is Jeff. Appreciate you breaking down the whole Jaden Ivey situation. My take is this. We should absolutely sign the qualifying offer. And the reason are threefold. One is really we didn't give much to get Jaden Ivey. Number 2 is that if we have another year, have another more ample data sample to properly assess him, allow him to actually recover from his injury and really to play it out, I think we will have a better chance of really assessing whether he is real keeper or not. And third thing is that the downside is very low. If you sign him for an extra year and if he's completely disaster, all we have next year is another expiring contract, which allow us to flip for something else, give us more flexibility. If you ask me, if I were to do it, another option would be actually signing up for, like you mentioned, a 3-year team-friendly deal. Take this as an opportunity because of his unfortunately injury-riddled season, and saying that let's really sign a 3-year deal, a 3-year, $40 million, about roughly $13 million a year would be a good number to go about. The reason being, for me, someone who negotiates contract in the real corporate world for a living, if I were to negotiate contract with a player, my philosophy would be your contract size should commiserate to your contribution. What that means is if you have a superstar comes in to say, I'm coming in, I'm an all-star, all-NBA, I want to sign a supermax with a team, which goes up to about 35% of your salary cap, which is about $55 million. Me as a general manager, I'm going to say, great, I have no problem giving you 35% of my salary cap on you, provided that I'm counting on you, A, to provide 35% of the team's production, and B, you will have to be able to play about 70 to 75 games a season because you got to be available, and C, you're going to have to make sure that you're contributing to team chemistry so that we're winning. And the 35% of team production on average NBA team a season is about 120 points per game, 40 rebounds, and 25 assists. So 35% of that would be something amounts to about 42 points, 14 rebounds, 9 assists. So imagine if a superstar said, I want a 35% salary cap, major to supermax. I'm going to turn around and say, can you come in, play 75 games, 75 games, and then bring in average about 42 points, 14 rebounds, and 9 assists. If you can do that, I will sign that to you. Now, using the same philosophy for Jaden Ivey, if we sign $13 million a year, that's amounts to about 8.5% of salary cap. So with that, if he comes in with 8.5% of production.
Should the Bulls give Jaden Ivey a qualifying offer? Here's the thing. Because the draft happens first, and if the Bulls do stay around 8, 9, or 10, they're probably going to draft a shooting guard. It's just my guess there. If they do draft a shooting guard, they're probably not going to extend a qualifying offer to Jaden Ivey, especially if they're keeping Trey Jones and Rob Dillingham, even though they both kind of do the same thing. And maybe there's a case that they do it regardless. Like, if you can get a team cost-effective contract for Jaden Ivey, like, you keep him, even if he is coming off the bench, because then your rookie, you can kind of develop more in structure, right? As far as your thought process on how to sign players, like, listen, I'm business too. I'm a numbers guy. That's what I've done. But business is very different from the NBA, right? So when you try to add that many criteria on if it's this and this percentage is, it's not going to work that way in the NBA. But I think when it comes down for Jaden Ivey, it really comes down to what he's willing to sign for long term, considering his injury. And his agent may, rather than take the 1 year qualifying offer, maybe his agent does take a more team friendly 2-year deal with the player option or team option in the 3rd year, because it gets like with the NBA, with players that have those type of injuries, it's all about the long term, trying to secure the most money that you can long term, right? And then, of course, hey, if Jaden Ivey ends up getting back to who he was before, that money's going to be there for him. So I guess we'll see what happens with Jaden Ivey. Again, I root for the kid. I love Jaden Ivey before the injury. I still like, and as a person, you can't knock Jaden Ivey as a person, as a human. So hopefully that comes around and he can, get back to playing the way that we've seen him play before and the way that we know he can play. All right, let's get into this next voicemail, man. This one's from Nev.
Hey, how's it going? This is Nev. I just want to say a few things. One, I feel we need to, he needs to take more shots. I'm talking about Patrick Williams. Lately, I don't know if you've been noticing, he's been playing a lot better. It still plays with that hesitation stuff and that I'm scared kind of bewilderment kind of stuff. He overpasses, I feel, too much now. And when he does shoot, lately he's been making a lot of shots. He's been making a lot of plays. I don't know what's wrong with this kid. He has so much talent. It's there. You could as a basketball person, you could see he has something, but he just doesn't apply it. And it's just very sad. I mean, his 3-point shot lately is water. He has some moves that he never had used before, but he has it there. I've seen him make a couple of nice layups. So he can play. He just doesn't have the confidence. I would love to see now with us trying to tank him getting maybe up 15 shots a game at least, maybe 18, but maybe that's too high, but maybe 15 in that range and see what he can do with it. He also needs to work on a post-up game. There's been plenty of times, even like the Knicks game, he had Brunson guarding him, and he could have easily posted him up and punish him for that, but he just wants to just hover around the 3-point line, and I don't know why he's like that. I don't know what's going on, but if something can be said to him to be more assertive and try to score more, look for a shot, I think he could be something to where we could then flip him for a 2nd-round pick. So hopefully he wakes up. I did also notice Matas, there was a time in one of the games recently, Matas could have thrown him the ball, and he tuned him out. So I don't know. I guess the players are kind of done with him too in a way. But still, this is his time to shine, and it's time to show what he can do and what he has. I see it a little bit, and he's been passing the ball lately, been rebounding, but passing and shooting, and scoring, he's been pretty consistent for his level. So he just needs to build on this and maybe do a little more as the weeks goes on, because we're tanking. And as for the tank, I'm pro the tank. If Chicago fans can't cry and say, "Oh, we're losing," but then you guys want to tank, in the past. So I'm glad we're supporting it. We're doing the tank, and I'm supporting it, and I want to see it. I want to see a high draft pick. So hopefully we do get one, but that's all.
I think the hope has to be done for P. Will. We got to stop hoping for P. Will. We got to stop thinking, P. Will, if he just shows X, or P. Will, he doesn't want to. The drive's not there for P. Will to do those type of things. It's done. I think it's telling that when the Bulls were even close to fully healthy, P. Will was not in the rotation at all. Despite, and you have so many Bulls fans that say things like, well, the Bulls have to play him. He's making $18 million. Well, they didn't give a shit about that $18 million when everybody was healthy. And I think that is shows exactly the way that they currently view Patrick Williams as part of their long-term plans. When everybody's healthy and this roster is actually constructed correctly, P. Will's not going to be a main part of this roster. So trying to get his value up to get a second, all that type, it's not happening. We got to stop with the P. Will shit. He's going to play the rest of the wave this season because we know what this season's built around, but that's it for P. Will. That's it. It's done. It's over. P. Will is not a non-motherfucking factor for the long longevity of the Chicago Bulls team unless something drastically changes. And it's probably not going to happen. So I'm done with the P. Will thing. We got to stop trying to make P. Will be a thing, and it's not going to happen. P. Will is who P. Will is, and that's just the reality of it. All right, let's get into this next voicemail. This one's from Vaughn.
Hey, what's good, Hayes? Just giving you a call, man. This is Vaughn from Indianapolis. I got a couple statements and then an actual question. I want to ask a question maybe for the first time. First of all, watching that trash last night, it's not worth my 2.5 hours. I'm sorry. Like, I try to watch guys like Dillingham and see if they can develop or whatever. See, Nick Richards as a possible second or third center. Just stuff like that, man. Like I said, you know how I feel about a Giddey Modest tandem, or it's just like, if that's what we got, then we're playing. I'm sorry. I know you're probably sick of hearing that. That's it. That's all we are. And the 32 points from Modest last night, ooh, great. It was in a blowout. One time Patrick Williams had like 25 in a blowout. Like, I don't care about that kind of stuff. My sights are higher. I'm looking at a Shy and a Jalen Williams type. I'm looking at a Tatum and a Brown, and even a Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, let's get real. Like, we got to have a real tandem to really be a contender. We don't have that in those guys, and even if they peak out, I mean, there's still so many limitations for both of them in terms of strength, defensive ability, turnovers, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, and then, so my second point is about the trash last night is, they're running multiple pick and pops for Yabusele. Like, they're setting this dude up like he's Carmelo. So, I mean, they're taking to perfection right now. So, they're not trying to win. I'm not even putting a whole lot on Billy Donovan because not that when he coaches to win, he does a good job, but he's certainly not coaching to win now. So I'm not even trying to grade him. But anyway, my question is, with the masterful job they're doing of tanking, why did they not do this from jump? Like, were the offers not there, I guess? I mean, I guess you can't make trades until you can make trades, but there was no way to offload Kobe at the beginning of the season. There was no way to offload Vooch at the beginning of the season. I mean, I can see guys like Werder maybe not being able to be moved until now, but that's really my ultimate question for you is, why wasn't an effort made? Because the Bulls remain 3 steps behind teams like the Pacers that did it from the beginning. The Pacers probably have enough talent to win 35 games, but they're not. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why are we always 3 steps behind organizations and franchises that win on a consistent basis? I mean, you honestly couldn't think that this team, again, even with the 5-0 start, like, you really thought this was more than a 7th seed? And if you really did, God help you and God bless you. That should have been the mission coming into this season, to tank. And, yeah, they're doing a great job now, but you can't.
Vaughn, you got to stop talking about the same shit, bro. Like, I love that you asked a question at the end, but you really got to stop talking about the same shit every voicemail, bro. As far as that, first of all, you saying the Pacers could easily win 35 games, they're not. Without Tyrese Halliburton, and this is why your whole motif of it's just two-way players. No, it's not. It's more than that. You need more than just that. You have to have a team that's well constructed, and sometimes the team that's well constructed is going to have someone where your whole thought process is all built around, like, you are so nut happy for the fucking Indiana Pacers, and guess what? Without Tyrese Halliburton, they're not a good basketball team. Now, the thing is, like, there has been some creative lineups there for sure, but they're not a good basketball team. Tyrese Halliburton is the engine. Losing that and Miles Turner, both players who, by the way, aren't necessarily two-way players. Like, Miles Turner isn't a great defender. He's a great rim protector, not a great defender. That completely took away from that team. But to get back into your question that you asked her, right? Why didn't the Bulls do this early? The Bulls wanted to evaluate, and AK told us that. He told us that at media day. We're evaluating for long-term fit. They evaluated, they came up with their determination, and now there's the decision that they made. And that's just the reality of it. Kobe White was hurt at the start of the season. You're probably not even getting what you got back for Kobe White if you trade him while he's hurt. Why he's actually, like, even more. They still traded him while he was hurt, but even more hurt, right? And then you look at Vooch. We actually got more back for Vooch than what was his reported value because we did wait. Keep in mind, at the start of the season, it was said that the Bulls may have to give up a second-round pick to get off Vooch's contract. We ended up getting Anthony Simons, a 20-point-per-game scorer, back in that, and some seconds. The Bulls actually, and this is why the thing is, like, everybody who asks, why didn't we do this sooner? We actually got more value back in some cases. Now, I don't think we got value back for Ayo Dosunmu. I don't think we got great value back for that at all. I think that was a very bad value trade in that case. But, you know, you got to look at it in those things. So I think overall, that's why they did it. We're here now, and we'll see what they can make of what they're trying to cook up. We'll see. All right, let's get into the last voicemail for today. This one's from Shay.
What's up, Hayes? It's Shay. Look, I'm going to say this team's name, and I'm going to go into full details as best I can because it's on 3 minutes to start. The Indiana Pacers. Now, look, I know they're bottomed out, and I'm not comparing Josh Giddey to Tyrese Halliburton. I'm not comparing them at all. But do you see what they're doing right now? Do you see how they got traded Ben McLemore for Victor Zubac, and they still kept their core pieces, even though they're bottoming out? That's kind of what we should have done if we were going to actually do this, even though we were in a much better position than them during the trade deadline, and we probably were 2 games away from the 6th seed. But what they did is this. They have prepared themselves for what Tyrese Halliburton gets back next year. Zubac, they got them a new center in Zubac. They also have their remaining core pieces. Now, I'm not saying that we're nowhere near better than them once they're fully healthy. But if we had did that, even with the bad losses that we're doing, it would have put us in a much better position if we do get a top pick. Because I know a lot of people say there's benefits of tanking, getting the top pick, whatever. But what's the use of getting it when you don't have a system to put that top pick in? Then you're just like LaMelo Ball, a good talent with a directionless team. And when you look at AK's history, do you really trust him? I didn't think so. And on top of that, we're only doing this only for this year. So that makes them trades a little bit useless. Because we could have, and we have the cap flexibility, we could have brought back Ayo and Kobe. As a matter of fact, I'm not even upset with the trades that we made, but the fact that we had to get rid of Ayo and Kobe, that's what turns my gears. And the fact that we could have at least tried to make the 6th seed, because I'm going to keep it real. It's not about where you pick, but it's who you pick. And we've all seen how AK screwed up. Case in point, Patrick Williams. But anyway, the phone's about to go off. Tell me what you think, man, if you read this. Peace.
First of all, Ben Mathurin, my boy, Ben Mathurin. But you got to keep this in mind too, bro. Like while you're saying that the Pacers gave up 2 first-round picks for Zubac too. So it wasn't like they just got great value. They gave up 2 first-round picks. The Bulls probably could have got that same trade how they traded Kobe and 2 first-round picks. The Bulls don't want to give up picks. The Pacers were willing to give up 2 first-round picks because they know now by adding Zubac and you get Tyrese Halliburton back, they're right back competitive in the Eastern Conference next season, right? And don't forget that there's weird protections on that first-round pick they sent for Zubac to where, what is it, at 1 through 5, they keep it. And then if it's 6 through 8, it goes to the Clippers. If it's after or 6 through 9, something like that. If it's after 10, it goes back to the Pacers too. There's very weird protections on that. So you got to keep in mind what else they gave up. It wasn't just Ben Mathurin for Zubac straight up. That wasn't the trade there. So they actually give some future assets, and that's not where the Bulls are right now. Is ready to give up future assets. So I think that's the place that you have to look at it as well. But that's my time for today, guys. I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in on a Saturday for the Mailbag Day. The Bulls do not play basketball today, but we will be back Sunday. At the end of the day, this isn't pretty, it isn't inspiring, it isn't fun. But for the first time in years, it's honest, right? That's what it is. The Bulls are no longer pretending to be something that they have never been, and that is competitive. Now the only question is, will the front office actually capitalize on this opportunity? Draft, cap space, Portland's pick. This summer is going to decide a lot for the Chicago Bulls. Drop your thoughts down below. Was the reset worth it? Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. You can follow us at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullscentralpod@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you ready if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.